Hi, Bayside Galt. How are you? So missing all of you. I cannot wait for all of us to be back together. This is so different. It's so different. Every day is feels like an adjustment. I wanted to make this video because there's been something on my mind the past few weeks, and it's this idea that we all of a sudden have an abundance of something that we haven't had. Quite frankly, there's been something that's been going against us ever since we've been born, and that's this idea of time. All of a sudden, we've had an abundance of time. I would argue that pre-lockdown, we lived in probably the busiest period of human existence. If you ever asked a friend or a coworker how they were doing, they would probably tell you, "Oh, I'm doing great, but man, I'm super busy," or "Oh man, I've got so much going on this weekend." And now there's an abundance of time. You've got lots of time to, do those projects that you've been putting off in the house, or developing relationships with your neighbors, or getting closer to your family. But let's face it, time, whether you like it or not, is either a blessing or a curse. Either way you justify it to yourself, you're right. And if you're anything like me, you've probably taken this time to just look around at the things in your house, or maybe just observe some of your relationships. And you ask yourself, is this me? Do any of these things or relationships, do they align with me? Do they align with my values? And if you're anything like me, you've also probably overthought it quite a bit. But this has been on my mind for the past few weeks, because all of a sudden, time and idle hands can kind of lead your mind to wander. And anytime my mind wanders or I have idle hands, I like to turn to Scripture. And one of the scriptures that really struck me was 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. Because it's been during this time that I realized I don't need much. I really don't. Because there's a lot of things in this life that you just can't take with you. I mean, you can't take your home. You can't take your money. Really the only thing that you can take with you is your relationship with God. And so, anyway, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. It says, "A devout life does bring wealth, but it's the rich simplicity of being yourself before God. Since we've entered the world penniless, and will leave it penniless, if we have bread on the table and shoes on our feet, that's enough." And verses like that really strike me during this time, because in a time when we're only supposed to be doing essential things, it's those essential only things that have crashed an economy. And it's really gotten me to think, well, what is it that I really need? And what values align with me? And I think at Bayside Galt, I think what we can all unequivocally agree to is that what's most essential to all of us is our relationship with God, because that's the one that transcends. You can't take any of this stuff with you. It's the relationships with God, all of our relationships with God. That's what transcends. And right now, it's the perfect time to do it. This is the perfect period to do it. Because it's so easy to make time the curse. But I would urge every single one of you, let's make it a blessing. That's really what's been on my mind the past few weeks, and I really wanted to just take a moment and share it all with you. And I'm so glad you took the time to look at this. I know I'm usually singing, and I haven't had the ability to just kind of be ever since I've got to Bayside Galt. But I'm glad I've got to do it. So just go in love. I miss every single one of you terribly, and I cannot wait to see you all again soon. I will see you soon. Love, peace. I'll talk to you soon.